to all of you. So I think I am audible to all of you. Okay. So today we are going to continue from where we have left. Yes, in our last class, that is the topic of machine learning. We are discussing on the topic of machine learning. Okay. So in our last class, we have discussed about the basics of machine learning and what are the process, right? Or the categories that falls under the part of machine learning, right? So as I said in my last class that there are two ways. One is supervised learning, another one is unsupervised learning, right? So discussing about the topic of supervised learning, let's first think about some examples. So if we are talking about some example, so I would like to ask you people first that can you tell me a real life example of supervised learning? A real life example, any real life example of supervised learning, anyone that is available with us at any time, any options, anything comes up your mind regarding the term supervised learning that is present in our daily life, or also we can use it as a part of our daily life. Anyone? I am giving you some hint that it is available in our mobile phone. As I discussed in our last class that what is the supervised learning. So let me repeat again that what is supervised learning. The thing is that it is a process of learning that where some data sets was previously present there, and how to react on some situations, what are the things, how the things will be happening, that is a type of supervised learning. So if we are talking about some examples, as I asked you people, let me give you a basic example that everyone using today some smartphones, Android, also some iOS, Apple, this type of phones. Okay. Now there is a facility available in our phones that is called Cortana or Siri or Hey Google. So these three type of things which is available in desktop, laptops or mobile phones and Apple, this type of devices. So if we are talking, if we are telling that okay Google, then it certainly reacts on that particular keywords, okay Google. Also if we are trying to tell that hello Siri, call something person XYZ. So what, when we are saying this hello Siri, call this particular person, the action is performed. Means we can see that by telling that particular keywords, call this particular person to the direction to Siri, Cortana, whatever it is, the action is getting performed, right? So this is the process of supervised learning where this particular things or keywords have been introduced earlier, that if the particular Cortana or Siri is getting this type of information or keywords, then what action need to be performed? What action need to be performed by the devices? So this is the process of supervised learning. So if I am telling that good morning Siri, so in reply I am getting a reply that yes good morning, right? So these are the learning that, or these are the keywords, these are the process that was introduced earlier to that particular Cortana or Siri, that if Cortana or Siri is getting this type of information, this type of keywords, what reaction or what will be the answer need to give. So this is a process of supervised learning. Means the data was predefined, the data was tested, and a trained data set will be there. So that particular keywords or information is trained into that particular machine learning model, so that when a test data set, so what is the test data set? I am giving some input to Cortana or Siri. This is a test data set, and Cortana or Siri have the information or keywords of this particular previously as a trained data set. So this is a process of train and this is a process of test data set. Okay, so this is called supervised learning, right? Now when I am talking about this supervised learning, Now, when I am talking about the supervised learning, okay, so there are some uh, process, there are some algorithms we can say. First one, we can say a regression algorithm. There is some linear regression algorithm. There is some we can say SVM, support vector machine algorithms. So these are the algorithms present in our supervised learning, right? So here you can see that what is given, the supervised learning, it is an analogous to training a child to walk. So here something will be handing, some given input is there. So linear regression or classification, these are the process, these are the topics or algorithm can be present in the process of supervised learning, right? Now, this regression and classification, we can say these are the algorithms we are present. So, what is the case of regression or what is the case of linear regression we can talk about? So, we can say that in the process of linear regression, we can say that suppose an example, we can say that there's a feature when we are working on some object, anything, a feature given value of x1 is providing and it is given some output to y1. So a features of value of x1 to the output of y1 is given, suppose similar for x2 to y2 and x3 for y3. So these are the data that is previously present. These are the data, we can say these are the trained data set that was present. Now, when this type of data is coming as a test data set to the predictive model, then we can say that this will be the output. So here we know the output. What can be the output? We know that. This is called a regression process. So now the machine means I am talking about here, the machine is some predictive model that have been trained, and this is a trained data set, sufficient number of data points or data set have been trained there. Now when something will be asked to the machine, a prediction will be made, there will be a prediction make. So this is called a process of linear regression. And now when we are talking about this linear regression, machine learning, this type of topic, so here a prediction, as I said in my previous classes, that we can make a prediction. We cannot calculate the actual. We can predict something. And this prediction have some certain percentage level. We can say up to this 80%, 90%, whatever it can be. But we can test and we can train the model. Then we can work on that particular model. We can have a prediction rate. And depending upon on that particular prediction rate, this is the process of regression model. There is now also some of the classification model. So now when we are talking about the classification models, we can say that it has some features or characteristics. So what can be the features or characteristics? We can look for the shape, we can look for the color. So these are the features of an object. So depending upon the features of that particular object, we can classify the objects. So yes, if the shapes, if we are talking about the parameters of shape, then depending upon the shape, we can classify. So suppose as I given this, as I give this particular example in my last class also, that in a bucket there are balls, certain different colors of balls are present. Now if we want to segregate those different colors balls, then what we can do, we can look for the colors. This is the feature of the object. So suppose there are some red, green, blue, these three type of colors balls are present. So by looking at the color, we can segregate the balls to another different type of buckets. So this is called the classification. So this is called a classification. So here also we can see an example is given that there is 100 students. Suppose there is 100 students are present, and we may like to group them into several groups. Okay, so now what can be the parameters by which we can segregate them? What can be the parameters? So there can be certain features we can extract, and this is up to the particular person or this particular actually the machine learning scientist, that who what features actually he is working on, right? Suppose we can categorize the particular 100 students by heights. Okay, so there can be a short height student, there can be a medium height student, there can be a long height student. So we can segregate as per their height. Also we can segregate as per their age, because maybe the 100 students not from the same class, not from the same batch. So we can segregate as per their age. Also we can segregate as their gender, either it can be a boy, it can be a girl. So we can have different type of features, and depending upon the features, looking at the features, then we can segregate all that particular data. So this is a process called classification in the step of machine learning. Now, talking about the supervised learning, now there is another part that is called the unsupervised learning. That is called the unsupervised learning, that the person need to learn, or the machine need to learn by own. If we are considering as a machine or as a predictive model, suppose, so what it can be, first thing, either we can learn something that we have seen, right? So our parents or any particular persons have teach us that yes, this is called a cat, this is called a dog. So when I am seeing an object like cat, then I can classify it, it is a cat, because I have that predefined mindset. I know this particular thing is called dog and cat. So this is comes under the part of supervised learning. Now, when I am coming to the unsupervised learning, so what we can do, that we need to learn it from our end. We need to learn it from our end. So suppose if we are talking about an example here, what it can be, let me tell one simple example, that we are trying to swimming. We are trying to swim. So for that, a trainer can be there who can guide us, but we need to learn it by ourselves. So the machine need to predict it, the machine need to learn it. So from the data. So this is a part of this unsupervised learning, where the training model or the predictive model need to learn it from uh, his or her end, as a human, if I'm talking about, and if it is a machine, that the machine or the predictive model needs to learn itself. So this is called the process of unsupervised learning. Now, there is third term, that is called the reinforcement learning. There is a third term that is called reinforcement learning. So here first we can see a diagram, that is environment and learner. There is two things, environment and learner. So if I consider environment and learner, there are some input data and action happening on that particular data, and if action is giving us a true result, then we can call it as a reward. So we can see that learner, environment, what is the relation is going on, that environment is giving some input to the learner, as per that learner is providing some action, and if it is actually matching, it is actually happening truly, then we can have a reward, or as we can say that we can have a result. So this is a process of reinforcement learning, right? So now talking about the example, here an example is given. We can see that considering a pet dog, right? We everyone, most of us out of 100, 80 to 70 people have some pet. Either it can be dog, either it can be cat, it can be a bird, anything it can be. Okay, so pet. So here we are considering to a pet dog. So we train our pet, right? So whenever our pet is seeing us, or if we are making any moves or any action, the pet can understand that what the owner is actually trying to make. So we play with our pet dogs and whatever the thing. So we throw a ball. So we throw a ball and we teach that, we learn, we make it happen so that our pet can learn that when I am throwing the ball, the pet should go there and pick up the ball and then return it to me. So we are throwing a ball to a certain distance and uh, asking the pet dog, or making any actions so that the pet dog can understand, yes, that I need to go there, the dog needs to go there, take the ball and then return it to that particular owner. So every time the dog does it right. So when we are doing this, the process that I am throwing a ball, the pet dog need to go there, taking up the ball and return it to me. So when this is actually happening, we give a reward to that particular pet. Okay, either it can be a piece of bone, either it can be some foods, anything, either it can be some applaudable, adorable something. So that the dog is liking. So the dog knows that if I am doing this thing right, then I will get a reward. So he have this particular, the dog have this particular mindset. So the dog slowly learns it. The dog learns the job. The dog knows the job, that what I need to do to get a reward. So if I am doing the things after learning the things particularly, then I will get some reward. So this is the concept of reinforcement learning. So this reinforcement learning is developed to machine to play some games. This algorithms is analyzing all the possible moves at each stage of the game. So here, this is the process called the reinforcement learning. Then there are two different parts, that is the deep learning and deep reinforcement learning. Deep learning and deep reinforcement learning is another huge part of this machine learning. Okay, so this is another huge part of machine learning. Okay, now we can see here that process of supervised learning and the machine learning. So first we are talking about the supervised learning, and I have told you some algorithms of the supervised learning. So first one, we can see there are some algorithms that have been displayed to you, that nearest neighbors algorithm, decision trees algorithm, naive Bayes algorithm, logistic regression algorithm, support based machine algorithm. So there are 5 algorithms are present. First one, k nearest. Second one, decision tree. Third one, naive Bayes. Fourth one, logistic regression. Fifth one, support vector machine. Now we will go through each of the algorithm. First one, k nearest algorithm. So here we can see first a picture. What is the picture saying? That we can see different type of colors: red, blue, green, and it is mixed up at each places. Now what is happening in k nearest means algorithm, or k nearest neighbors algorithm, we called it as knn. So here we can call it a statistical technique. By using we are using this particular for solving some classification and regression problems, right? How to solve this? Okay, so here the diagram is showing that there are 3 typical color. Here we can see red, green, and blue. So what we are doing, that there are 3 type of objects comes under the red part, comes under the blue part, comes under the green part. Now we will run a knn model here. So after running a knn model, what we can see, that there is a midpoint or interval point, some unknown data is present there, we can call it. Now the visuality, that this is an unknown data point, belongs to the class of blue objects. So suppose there are 3 type of objects. Here we can see the random red, green, blue are present in different places. Now there is some test objects, putting some objects is there. Now we need to identify that test objects is can be under which part. Is it red, is it blue, or is it green? So here this particular thing is needed, some unknown data set, some unknown test data is there, and we need to find out that this unknown data is a part of which particular set. Either it can be red, it can be blue, it can be green. So we can, as we can see it as visually, that this unknown data points belongs to the class of blue objects, as we can see that it is placed under the part of blue object. It is placed under the part of blue object, but we cannot be sure that is it a blue object. So that's why some algorithm, k nearing algorithm is happening here. So what we are doing in k nearing algorithm, that we will calculate the distance, we will calculate the distance of that particular test data set from the known or trained data set. Either it can be red, green, and blue. We will make a calculation, we will make a calculation or the distance between the data sets. Okay, so after calculating the distance or the average distance of this particular, then we will find out that which is the nearest data set, the test data set is present to which nearest particular, right? So after finding out the average distances, calculating the average distances, we will find out some nearest average algorithm, and then we can find out that yes, it is under blue, or it is under red, it is under green. So this is a part of k nearest means algorithm. K nearest means algorithm, or also it is a process of knn algorithm. Knn algorithm. Now here something is that decision tree. Another part is the after we can have a knn algorithm, there is a part of decision tree. So what is happening in decision tree, that first of all we will look for the flow chart. That here we can see that flowchart is given, that some, it is something is some data is sending, and it is, there is 2 condition, either it can be yes, either it can be no. Yes, read when bored. So some data things, some suppose something is reading, the pages are reading, then we are reading when we are bored. Second option is no, then subject containing something, then data is there. Again, there are some true or false conditions. So here, when we are looking for some data, there can be two approach. Either it can be true or false, it can be yes or no. So these are some decisions. So if it is yes, then what decision can we make? If it is no, then what decision can we make? So these are the two process in the part of decision tree. We can classify our data with the things of yes and no terms, with the things of yes and no terms. So yes and no. Yes when read, when board. No, subject contains IPL. True and false. So yes, no, true and false, it is a self-explanatory thing. If it is yes, then what can be the decision? If it is no, then what can be the decision? So the decision tree, we have an example that is looking very simple, but in reality it is not actually that simple also. So decision tree have some complex things. So there are several algorithms are present to make these particular decisions. Okay, so we need to look for the data and look for the conditions, true or false conditions. Then we have some naive bayes logistic regression. Okay, first I am going for the logistic regression. In logistic regression, we can see there is a xy graph is actually present and some data sets are present. It can be red and green. Two types of data are present here. Now here a line is drawn, a blue line is drawn there. So we can visually inspect, we can see that red data are in beyond this particular blue line and green is in other side of the blue line, right? So we have a boundary, we are making a boundary to separate this particular data. So we can separate the data, we can segregate this data with a single line, with a single line. So here we must draw a boundary line to separate out these dots. So now after separating out these dots, so we can see that there are some red colors that is beyond the line on the other side where the greens are present, and similarly in the red side some greens dot are present. So now what we can see that anything can be happen, but we can see red and blue, it, red and green can be present here. Okay, so you people can see here some red and green things have been present, red and green things have been present here. So here we can see red and green things are present, and these red and green dot balls colors we can say here we are differentiating each of the things by a boundary line. So maybe some data are randomly placed or some data is present in both, but we will look for the data at a large number. So we can see that green data are present at a large number and in the red data are present at a large number in the other sides. So this red and greens we can call this a boundary line decision tree. Boundary line decision tree, it is a process of logistic regression. It is a process of logistic regression. Then in the last part, we can talk about SVM, support vector machine. Support vector machine here, classes or the data can be linearly separated in the SVM. So it is a model, or we can say that it is also a machine, have some model that is called the support vector machine. So this support vector machine is itself a huge term that where we can have a large number of calculation, have a curves of linear, non-linear. Basically, the boundary curves are non-linear because we cannot draw a line, we cannot draw a straight line or linear line actually here. So a curve will be placed in the part of SVM. So this support vector meshing is determining for separation or segregation the boundary. So there we can see in the data, in the picture or in the object picture, that there are different type of shapes are present, different types of data are present, and some white color have been defined as a boundary. So these boundaries, this separation of boundaries is actually present here. So these algorithms we are talking about is itself a huge thing that needs to explain, that needs to understand. This is a basic concept of this particular algorithms. These are the basic concept of this particular algorithms. Okay, so we have seen the five algorithms under the part of the supervised learning. These are the five algorithms that are the part of the supervised learning. And now when we are talking about the supervised learning, also there is some another algorithm that is called scikit-learn algorithm. Scikit-learn algorithm. So here in scikit-learn algorithm, all of the things are happens. So in scikit-learn in Python, this scikit-learn is actually present, and we use this particular for the process of the data. So classification, regression, clustering, dimensional reduction, all are the parts of this scikit-learn algorithm. So we can process the classification model, classification algorithm, we can process the regression algorithm, we can process the clustering algorithm. So each of the things can be processed in the term of scikit-learn algorithm, in the process of scikit-learn algorithm. So these algorithms, linear regression, classifications, clustering algorithm, whatever the algorithms are, these are supervised. This falls under the part of supervised learning. And as it is that the data already are present, we tested the data, we trained the model, and then some data have been tested. So these are the things, or we can use this particular algorithm as a safe model, we can say, as a safe model, we can say. So any doubts regarding this particular supervised learning algorithm? If anything is there, then you people can see. Otherwise, then we will move for the next part, that is unsupervised algorithm. So if anything is any doubts are there, so you people can tell me as a supervised learning. So you people can tell me. Anyone with any doubts? So if anyone wants to say anything about the supervised learning algorithm, think about this particular algorithms from your human behavior. Consider that particular model, the predictive model, as a human. So it will be very easy to understand. So if I am talking about as a human, that whatever I am seeing an object, dogs, cat, birds, whatever objects we can see, we know it dogs or cat because previously some people, our parents or whatever the teachers have put us, he put these things in our mind that yes, this is called bird, this is called dogs, this is called cats. So this is a part of supervised learning. As a human, we have learned these things previously, and then we can, whenever we are getting this type of input, or we are seeing this type of, we are visualizing this, then we can easily react on that. So this is a process of supervised learning. This is the things that is called supervised learning. So I think it is better to think from a human angle, so it will be very better to understand that supervised learning, now we are talking about unsupervised learning. So what is unsupervised learning? Supervised learning, we know that there are some previously trained data set, some trained information, and there then some test data is there, and we can test the data and say our predictive result. In unsupervised learning, in the process of unsupervised learning, that the strategies are some diverse. So in super unsupervised learning, there are some probabilistic distribution models to find the best distribution for a parameters. Some algorithms or example is that maximum likelihood estimation, maximum of posterior map, we can say MLE map. These are the terms are present, or in the type of unsupervised learning. So in this particular type of unsupervised learning, the modeling and the optimization are the two main factors. In the part of unsupervised learning, the modeling and the optimization, these are the two main factors. Modeling and the optimization are the two main factors. So modeling contains the hypothesis of some set. So the hypothesis have been present in the part of modeling, and objective function, and optimization is performed to find the final hypothesis. So modeling to model the data, and optimization to perform to find the final hypothesis data. So similarly, like a training model is there, but in the case of supervised learning, in the training model, the data set have been trained, the data we know. But in the case of unsupervised learning, this modeling and the optimization, the model needs to learn itself. So the data needs to be trained many times so that the model can learn it, that what is actually happening. So this modeling means that to the hypothesis. So what can be an optimization is performed to find the final hypothesis. So which is the maximum or minimum objective, whatever the things are. Okay, as I have previously said that in the term of machine learning, we can have a certain percentage level to predict something. So prediction can be made. So hypothesis is focused on the linear classifiers and show how the optimization methods are interact with each other. So now here in the part of this unsupervised learning, we have some algorithm that is also k-means clustering algorithm that have been also a part of supervised learning also, and in the case of unsupervised learning also these k-means clustering algorithms are present. So here in the part of k-means clustering algorithm, what we can see that uh, an example is given that in the year of 2000 and 2004, some presidential election happened at some particular stage, right? So close, very close, the marginal win, the candidate marginal win as is termed here as the close and very close. So here some calculation have been made, the percentage of votes, right? So the lowest percentage, the largest percentage of the popular vote that can candidate receive is 50.7%, and the lowest can be 47.9%. So here a percentage, if a percentage of the voters were to have switched sides, the outcome of the election would have been different. So after as a result, when a candidates win, we know the data that the candidates have won by how many votes, what percentage of vote the candidate get, what percentage have vote the losing candidate get. So this is a data. Now if the data may can be changed, if the data, if the voters can switch the size, then there are some different type of output can be. So this is a process. So there is a small group of voters which we appeal to. So we can see that before the votes actually some predictions, some made have been that this candidate will win, this party will win, and these are the marginal votes, these are the percentage. So this is a data which that we need to work on, and we need to predict something, and the prediction was almost correct in each of the cases because of this machine learning algorithms or this supervised unsupervised learning algorithm. So how it is happening, things that first we need to collect information on people either with or without their consent. So the data here we are gathering may from the people, from the user. The user may know or may not know. So without consent or also with consent, the data is actually getting gathered, and any sort of information that might give some clue about what is important. So random data are actually taken. Now from random data, from the random large number of data, we need to find out that which data is important. So if I am asking someone that what is your favorite party or what party you are supporting, out of 10, maybe 5 people will say clearly yes, I am supporting this party, but other 5 will not disclose their opinion. So in that case we need to find out some things more by which we can find out that yes, this people is particularly supporting this party. So what can be the parameters? Maybe the question something like that, what advantages are you getting in this under this particular political party? So if I am asking some question regarding this, so if the person is happy with the current political party, then he or she will be happily saying some good side of those, or if the person is not at all happy, then he will showing us some result of some negative side of particular party. So these are the important data by which we can identify. So these are the data by which we can identify yes, this person is supporting this party, this person is supporting this party. So this first we are collecting the data with or without consent. Next, after that we are making cluster. Next we are making some clusters. Now after identifying this, the cluster identification have been done. So clustering identification tells us the algorithm process. Clustering algorithm tells us the algorithm process. So here is some data and the groups have been done. Now similar things form together and tells us the groups. So the key difference here actually present, that is we need to make it a cluster. So clustering is called an unsupervised classification. Sometimes, not all the time. So because in supervised learning also the clustering is happening. So clustering is calling unsupervised classification because it produces the same result as classification does not without having some predefined classes. So supervised learning, we have the clustering algorithm where we know the things, know the shape, and then we can cluster. Also in the part of unsupervised learning, we use this clustering algorithm. So up to this, we are going to talk about today the basics of supervised algorithm and unsupervised learning algorithm. So these are the basics we are talking about. So supervised, unsupervised, the clustering algorithm, the k-means clustering algorithms, whatever the things are present, we are going to discuss. We have discussed the basics of all the things. Okay. So if you people have any type of doubts regarding this, then you people can tell. Any doubts, anything you people can tell me. So tell me now if anyone have any type of doubts, anything, because this is a new topic and new things. Yes, Rupam, say.
Sir, cluster identification means?
Cluster
Sir,
identification.
last topic.
Yes, clustering. You are talking about
Yes, sir.
clustering means we are making a
Yes, sir.
pool of the things of the objects of the data. So as I have given an example previously, that suppose in a bucket there are several types of balls are present. Now what you are doing, we are making identification that which particular balls are falling into which group. So if there are three type of balls, red, green and blue, right? So we can identify and put it in another box. So suppose out of 30 there are 10 red balls, 10 blue balls, 10 green balls, right? So we are taking the 10 red balls and putting it another basket. So that 10 red balls basket is called a cluster, a group. So clustering in a simple word, we can say it is a group. So means
Okay, sir.
also we can say here that clustering, if we have formal definition, not only that, suppose we are making a small groups from a large number of groups. So dividing the making segregation or dividing the groups, the large group into a smaller part of groups is called a part of clustering, is known as clustering, right? So if anyone have anything doubts, they can ask me because the time is going to end, because less than 1 minute is showing here, so that link can be disconnected anytime.